Everybody, and welcome back to Griffin, Indiana. It is late summer, and, well, I have to say, surprised, grass did finally grow enough to cut. It's just a 2/3 growth, but it is enough to cut, so we're going to go ahead and cut it now, because you never know. We might not have an opportunity to get it cut in autumn. So, what do they say? You better make hay while the sun is shining, and, well, the sun is shining, at least for now. We do have some rain. We do have some rain in the forecast. You know there's always a catch. There is rain in the forecast for this afternoon. So, it's going to be, well, it's going to be how much of this can we get cut, raked, and baled before the rain. Let's go ahead and take a look at the forecast. 3 o'clock, we got rain coming in for the evening. Now what that means is early autumn, good. Mid-autumn, late autumn, good. Early, mid, and late winter. Well, we already can see the forecast for the rest of the year, and it looks mighty fine indeed. But you never know. Something might change between now and then. The weather here on Griffin, Indiana, well, it's been known to change, obviously. So that's today. Today's going to be baling and wrapping silage bales. I don't think we're going to mess with the grass across the street. I think we're only going to mess with this big section and the section around the barn. But before that, this video is brought to you by Jimmy Romanowski. Thank you for being a farm baron. So overall, summer has gone very well here on Griffin. I was a little worried when we had all that rain, but we were able to get our herbicide put down. We were able to collect all of our canola and get the corn in the ground. Everything's looking great for maybe a mid-autumn harvest. Let's look at the harvest schedule for corn. So corns could be ready to harvest as early as tomorrow, early autumn. But we can harvest it all the way through until the end of early winter. If you look at our growth scale, you'll see that, well, Field 7 is in its last stage of growth. Field 9 is that big field of corn again. It's in its last stage of growth. So conceivably, we could have one field of corn ready in early autumn, and the rest of our corn could come in mid-autumn. Will we have the opportunity to do a repeat of the mega corn harvest from last year? I mean, it would definitely add to our harvest quota, right? I have no issue running a harvest contract to corn because we're going to put our own corn in the bin. We can add it to it. Now, as far as contracts today, we've got a contract for oats, 2 contracts to harvest oats, some fertilizing contracts. This one, I mean, how do you pass up a $42,000 fertilizing contract? Right? How do you pass that up? So it looks like we're going to be fertilizing Field 9 before the day is out. I mean, heck, we could buy that little tractor tomorrow. Right? I mean, we're going to add $40-some thousand. We're going to have to buy up some fertilizer, no doubt, but we only need 26,000, I think, in order to have money enough to buy that little tractor that we used yesterday. It went well. I think it went well. I was a little worried it might be a little small and we would be light in the tail when we had a full sprayer on it, but it seemed to work out pretty darn good. So yeah, that's today. Closing out our last summer here on Griffin, Indiana. Looking at the number of hours on the tractor, 62.5 hours on our workhorse. Massey Ferguson 8650. He has pretty much done every task we have asked of him. I think we have a total of 86, 87 hours on the game save at this point. Probably by the time we finish out autumn and winter and the rest of today, we'll probably have maybe 100 hours possibly on this game save. I'm just thinking how long it's going to take for me to harvest these 4 fields of corn. If we do that massive field 9 contract, I mean, in reality, every game day takes about anywhere between a real hour to produce to 4 to 5 hours, depending on what we're doing. And we've got 6, 7 this video yet too. We got 7 videos to go. So yeah, we should be pretty close to 100 game hours on this particular save by the time we are all said and done. Raking has been going pretty darn good. Not the biggest windrows. Like I said, we're only at 2/3 growth, but the key is that we're going to be able to get some silage bales off of this field, and as a result, we're going to be in a position to profit from our grass a little bit this winter, which is great to see. And, you know, if we do run into the fact that maybe we have some spare time, then we do have the grass across the street. It will be at full growth come autumn. So if we do find ourselves with a day of nothing better to do, then we could mow the grass across the street and add to our silage bale collection. But yeah, so far so good. We're going to keep this GPS heading, that way it makes our baling a lot easier. This would be a perfect job for that 5S next year if we were to continue to play the series, where we can have the 5S do the raking, and heck, I could use follow me and have this guy do the baling right behind him and do 2 jobs at once. Right? It's one of the big limiting things when you're a single tractor farm is, well, all the field work has to be done by the same tractor, which means that you can't do 2 things at once. The only exception with that would be harvest, where you could harvest and then haul grain, you know. But yeah. Now, I was on a Discord the other week, and there was a guy talking about, he was a console player, and he was talking about slot counts and everything, but then in the same breath, basically, he's talking about his play series where he has like 5 different tractors. And they all have their own special task. Like, he would use a tractor with a fairly fast road speed for hauling. And then I assume he would have a few tractors of varying horsepower ranges, obviously for various other tasks. I'm sure you would have a tractor with front loader arms, or maybe a skid steer or a telehandler with front loader arms to do bucket work. That's typically a reason to have an additional vehicle. But it just came across odd to me. I mean, maybe it's my style of play where I play. It's not uncommon for me to do a series like this, like Felsburn Revisited, where we had one tractor. This is the tractor we use. We have a harvester. If we're harvesting, we use that. If we're not harvesting, we use this. And, you know, we do well. But that thought process of, you know, consoles have slot limitations. But then if you routinely play and feel that you have to play with, well, this is my hauling grain tractor. This is my baling tractor. This is my tractor that I use to seed with. Well, there's your slot problem right there. The 5 different tractors, or the 4 different tractors, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, if you're working a big farm and you need to have multiple things running at the same time in order to do all that field work, yeah, that's one thing, because maybe you've got 12 fields, and in order to farm all 12 of those fields, you can't do one field at a time. You have to have all 12 fields, you know, some number of those 12 fields in flight, if you will, at any point in time. And that means, you know, there's something going on, you know, any number of those 12 fields at any one point in time in order to make sure that you have enough time to do the job. That would be fine. But I wouldn't really describe it as having specialty purposed equipment, like this is my seeding tractor. Well, then that's the only tractor you use to seed with, so if you need 3 fields seeded, you can't just grab 3 fields or 3 tractors and 3 seeders and get to town, right? You have 1. So I think there was a big difference maybe between, there's definitely a big difference. There's no maybe about it. There's a big difference between having multiple vehicles, multiple tractors, so you could cultivate, seed, fertilize, and mow, let's say, all at the same time on various parts of your farm, to being different from, you know, this is the tractor I use to do X job. So it sits idle until X job is needing to be done. I mean, is that what you're telling me? And I'm sure, we've got an offset going on here. What's up with that? And I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure they use a given tractor for something other than just one purpose, but still the idea of buying a tractor just to do one thing and one thing alone. And then be, you know, in the same breath almost talking about console players and slot counts and everything. They kind of go against each other as far as a school of thought. But yeah, let me know in the comments. What do you think? Do you, when you play, do you typically have, you know, a decent fleet of tractors that ultimately end up doing the same, you know, the only task is this? I mean, I know a guy back in 17, he would typically buy a tractor every time he bought an implement. And that was the tractor he used with that implement. He just didn't disconnect. Yeah. If you play with unlimited money, then sure, right? This is my raking tractor. When I get done raking, I'm going to get in my baling tractor and I'm going to bale. And then I'm going to get in my bale collection tractor and we're going to pick up the bales. But, yeah, I mean, there's so many different styles of play. There's no wrong way to play. There's just other ways to play. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you get stuck in your head on this is how to play. And we all need to remember to be open to other styles of play. Because in an open world environment like Farm Sim, you could do anything. You could have a map that is set up to mine coal or process dirt and find gold. You could dig lime out of a pit. Maybe you dig ore out of a pit and you take it somewhere and you refine it into lime. It's all possible. Anything is possible in Farm Sim. Just about anything. It's a dynamic world. We can do anything nearly on any map if the map is set up right. No two players save game, you know, after, let's say after 50 hours of play, if you took 10 players and you put them all on the same map, let's say you gave 10 players the exact same set of mods, and the only limitation was they could not add any more mods. They could only play with the mods that they were provided. And you told them, go to town, and when your save game reaches 50 hours, then upload your save game to this location. And then you basically loaded each individual player's save game. Guarantee you, every single one of them would be completely different. Some people would merge fields. Some people would just take out a whole bunch of trees. Some people would plant a bunch of trees. Right? If the map was set up, people would sell farm buildings and redo the farm. People would put down different farm buildings in different places. Each one would be completely and utterly uniquely different. And the rain is here. A bit early. But I really gotta wonder. I really thought this map had a snow mask. Or I guess it's more properly season mask in 19. But I did this in year 3. I baled an entire field in the rain in year 3. And it takes time to bale this with this fast baler. I mean, we're chugging along pretty good at 11 miles an hour, but still it takes time to, you know, go up and down the field, up and down the field. I should lose grass volume, but I never lost grass volume in year 3. I won't lose grass volume in this year. For all the rain that we've had, I find little spots of hay still out here in this field from last year. I don't think this map has a seasons mask set up. Or if it does, it's like some global mask that's somehow across this entire field, because this grass is acting as if it's not raining. It almost makes me want to buy a bale of hay or straw and just leave it out and see what happens. But other than today, this is first day of autumn, second day, third day of autumn, first day of winter, second, third day of winter. So there's no rain in the forecast for the rest of the year after today. So I would like to know what your all's experience has been on Griffin, Indiana, with Seasons play. If you've seen bale rotting for hay and straw, if you've seen windrows deteriorate during rain. I mean, one good thing about Seasons and grass is grass will rot no matter what. But unlike 17, where grass would vanish at midnight, since you have the drying mechanic, grass has to stick around for at least one day. So I think the mechanic is that grass that's been left on the field for 2 days starts to deteriorate, but grass left on the field for one night won't deteriorate because it has to have the opportunity to dry into hay. But I think if grass is left on the field for more than 2 nights, it will start to deteriorate. So what it does mean is grass, these little grass areas that we're skipping or missing, they'll just clean themselves up. So for someone with a little level of OCD, having all these little residual areas of grass, Seasons is a godsend. I can't tell you how annoying it was for me on Fellsburn Revisited when I would see straw at the edge of the field. You know, when I did, let's say, a contract and it was set to windrow and straw windrowed outside the field. And then when you complete the contract, all the straw on the field goes away, but the straw off the field stayed. And then over the many, many days of the gameplay, the straw is just there. And possibly, you know, the straw gets added to. Same with, you know, if you make hay on a game without seasons. So I'm looking forward to learning more about seasonal cycles in FS22 and if we will have this rotting mechanic or not. It's going to be a lot of relearning. Really, it is. So my best advice, as we are now basically 3 weeks away, well, I guess 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks away, right? It's Friday. Monday will be 2 weeks. So as we are basically 2 weeks away from Farm Sim's release, my best advice to a player that's played FS19 is to do your very best to forget about how Seasons the mod works. Because seasonal cycles, the FS22 game feature, is different. I guarantee you that is one reason why Giants named it seasonal cycles. Because they wanted to differentiate the game feature from the mod. Yes, both emulate and simulate a year and 4 different seasons. That is the only similarity. You can assure yourself that you will have a spring, summer, autumn, and winter. But what happens during spring, summer, autumn, and winter could be completely different. If you go into it thinking, well, I could always do this in summer, and I did this in autumn, I think you're going to be frustrated because you're going to discover that it's not the same. And you may be upset because it's not the same. So my best advice for anyone that is a seasons player is to try to forget as best as possible the details of the inner workings of Seasons the mod, because seasonal cycles, the game feature, will be different. And we've kind of already seen that. Seasons, it's day 3 of late summer. Okay? In FS22, it's not going to be late summer. It's going to be, let's see here, March, April, May, June, July, August. It's going to be August. Late summer is August. So in FS22, today would basically be August. First day of autumn is September, October. November is the last day of autumn. Winter is January, February, or December, January, and February. And then March starts the new spring. So you start your game in March, possibly. You end your game year in February. So players that want to celebrate Christmas, they need to celebrate Christmas in early winter, because that's December. Christmas isn't late winter because that's February, that's Valentine's Day. I think another reason to that Giants has chosen very specific language is around how they are counting the duration of the game year in months, 12 months. They talk a lot about months. You specify the number of days per month, and that is your seasonal duration, defining days per month. So initially, the season length was going to be 1 day per month. And there are 12 months in a year, so that is 12 days to a year, which in Seasons the mod translates to 3-day seasons. If you play 2 days per month, that is the equivalent of 6-day seasons. And I did a spreadsheet. I did a spreadsheet. I put it on Google Drive. I'll put a link in the description, which basically shows you a 3-day month is a 9-day season. An 8-day month is a 24-day season. And that's as far as Seasons the mod went. 8-day months, 24-day seasons, 96-day game year. That's the longest gameplay you could have in Seasons the mod. Now, there's some folks that have told me that they've gone in, they've modified the game, the mod, they modified their save game XML, and they've made it longer day seasons or whatever, but we're not going to go into that. Seasonal cycles, from what we know, or what's been announced, is they're going to try for a 28-day month as the maximum duration, which is 4 7-day weeks. Okay, so that's where 28 days came from. 4 7-day weeks. Well, that comes out to a 336-day game year. All right, if that itself doesn't tell you that Seasonal Cycles is not Seasons the mod, then I don't know what else might do that. But yeah, that's my advice. You can take it, you can leave it. It's going to be a learning curve for everyone to learn and understand how Seasonal Cycles works. And I'm sure there's going to be videos out there. I might even make one myself, ultimately, that talks about the differences between Seasons the mod and Seasonal Cycles, to try to help those that maybe didn't realize that Seasonal Cycles isn't Seasons the mod, and therefore they're frustrated because they're thinking they're going to get something that they're not going to get. So with that, a good day to you. Hope you all have enjoyed summer, year 4. We'll return on Monday for early autumn of year 4. And I'm hoping that at least our first cornfield, field 7, I'm hoping that that cornfield is ready to harvest. And then it looks like maybe next Wednesday, all of our other corn will be ready to harvest. But ultimately, we're just going to have to time will tell. Time will tell. So until next time, happy farming.